Stephanie, that ending, you genius! So, I just finished the Ballad of Never After. Yeah, the Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. On the edge of my seat. 5 out of 5. So, we can start off with basically right after the events of the last book, and Evangeline is coping with the fact that her husband is in a coma, and Jax is being himself and kind of being mean and stuff. And a distant cousin of, since Tiberius is in prison, they don't really have a proper heir to the throne quite yet, so they have to bring in one of the cousins. And surprise, surprise, it's Lewis. We don't bully him enough. Is he as annoying as Apollo? No. But he can't take no for an answer. So I feel like I need more hate on my timeline for him. Definitely. Unless he proves himself in book 3, that man is on several of my lists. Sorry, I gotta fix my carpet. But okay, so Lala is engaged to Count one of the great houses, Slaughterwood, and Evangeline is still trying to find things to help Apollo wake up. And it was a wild ride, y'all. I just finished this as a recording yesterday, but holy cow. So that happens, and then Apollo wakes up, and they have a mirror curse on them now. So anything done to the other gets transferred to another. Like before Apollo wakes up to the coma, she gets a little cut on. No, Apollo reaches for her and stuff happens, but Apollo gets a cut on his hand, and then Evangeline's hand starts bleeding, and just sounds like, oh no, totally not my fault. Spoiler, it was in fact his fault, because he asked Lala to put curses on the two of them, and we have the Archer curse back. Same with in the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox, where the Archer has to hunt his beloved. Apollo's now doing that. This creates issues. Thank you, Jax, for the amazing idea. But so that happens, and then she's kind of running because Apollo's is like, I really don't want to hurt you. I know I was cursed, but I still want to try this. I want to try us. I want to make this work. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay. There's a lot of hate, but he doesn't seem that bad. There's a whole nother book. So I sat down and waited for the fallout to happen, and oh boy, did it take a while. And I feel like I'm just on the tip of the iceberg with Apollo's streak. So there's a moment where Apollo's chasing Evangeline, and she falls off a cliff, and she's like, wow, thanks. And Jax jumps in after her, and they basically go to shore, and it's really cute. And he's actually better this book a little bit. Cursing your situationship is not the best, but yeah. And then Evangeline at the very beginning of the book does open the arch, but not really, because there's missing 4 stones. They're missing keys, and she doesn't know why Jax is wanting to open the Valerie arch, but he does, and he won't tell her. And then they go get Chaos, and he has the luck stone. There's luck, mirth, youth, and truth. And she also finds out when Chaos pulls out the stone that she is not the only key. She is just the next key. She isn't exactly special. She's still special, but she's with the magic in this world, it's especially containing prophecies. The prophecy immediately wants to become true, so you can't just murder the key and expect it to just be okay for eternity. The prophecy does want to come true, and even in Caraval, it did mention little bit of this. When your future is read, it wants to become truer to the fact that what was already stated. It's kind of like almost a oh, what's the word? It's a placebo effect almost. And it's really interesting to see this play out in a lot because it's such an interesting magic system. And it's so cool to see it play out through the books. And as she's as she's doing this, because she did fall off that cliff, she's severely injured. So Chaos basically turns her into a vampire for a really hot second. And she's struggling. Like she'll think about moving and then she's already doing it. It's very much you're thinking but not fully. Like when you're talking to someone and they hand you something and you just take it without really realizing what you're doing. And it's they talk about hunger a lot in this section, and even for a few minutes she feels starved. And it's interesting to see, especially later on, because hunger is a very big thing with vampires and vampire media anyway. And it's it plays a really big factor, hunger does, in the ending of the book. And after sunup, she's fine. She's still exhausted, but she's fine. And chaos. Um, I still like him right now. I really hope that doesn't change because like she was wearing a slip dress after she fell off the cliff and like she was unconscious and she was struggling because she didn't know what was happening. Honestly, same girl, same. And he was like holding her down because Apollo was still hunting her, and they really did not want her to die. And after or before Chaos left, and after he got up off of her, he smoothed down her dress, her little nightgown, so she wasn't like fully exposed and vulnerable to a bunch of hungry vampires. And I see you. I see you. And I really hope. I wish he. Okay. I hope in book 3 that he does have more screen time, and I am really excited to see his character arc from now on. And but I'll save that to the end because I do want like a little bit of a surprise. But it's yeah, so she turns into a vampire, then she turns back, and she convinces Jax to go with her to Lala's engagement party. We love girls supporting girls. And it's great to see because they go there, and granted, Jax is still being Jax and flirting with everybody and getting bored. And they're at this party, and she has this book, which is because of the story curse, it's constantly changing to not always be the correct thing. But she sees a picture of Jax in the book as they're writing to this engagement party, and he's with the Merrywood Three. Count. Okay, so Lyric Merrywood, the son of the Lord, Prince Castor Valor, and the Archer. And she's like, okay, 1, 2, 3. We have Princey Boy, Lord's son, and the Archer, but it's Jax. What's going on? And of course, she's trying to like piece who is who, but she only has so much. But she also has to deal with the story curse in the fact that it's always somewhere in between the truths. Like for the Valors, yes, they weren't a fully good family, but they weren't fully evil. The truth lies somewhere in between what the stories are telling. Even in the Valerie Arch, it's somewhere in between a treasure box and a prison. It is simply somewhere in between the lies and the stories. And I don't like the miscommunication trope. But it's so interesting here, mainly because so much of the mystery is about not knowing what is true. And it's not just spoken, it's written, it's everywhere. Like when Lala is trying to tell her something, her words get mumbled and jumbled and awful. And it's just an interesting plot point. And I do really like this. If you want to do miscommunication, in fantasy at least, this is a good way to do it. And it's such an incredibly fun system to look at. And oh, it's so cool. And she also finds out that uh, the Slaughterwoods destroyed the Merrywoods. Yay! And okay, so Aurora Valor, Castor's sister, was in love with Lyric Merrywood. Okay. But she was betrothed to Vengeance Slaughterwood. And her dad was like, "No, you're going to marry him. I don't care if you don't love him." Dad of the Year award, and the mom was on this too, so she's not up there either. So, yeah. Aurora basically flees, and then the Slaughterwoods basically murder all of the Merrywoods, including Prince Castor Valor. And, ooh, sorry, my eye was itchy. But she finds this out as she's going past the ruins of Merrywood. It's very different from Merrywood and Slaughterwood. They're almost, they're not what they seem. Because Slaughterwood is brighter and almost warmer. Yes, it's still snowing, but it's brighter, while Merrywood is dull and genuinely distasteful. Ooh, excuse me. And Lala seems happy. We see her fiance once, mainly because with being the unwed bride, she tries to find happiness in the engagement before she's inevitably left on the altar. But as the story continues, we find out that it's her. She's ending the engagements. She wants to open the Valerie Arch because she thinks that her true love is in there. You see, there was a costume ball, and of course, Evangeline was the fox, and Jax was the archer, and of course, Luz decided to interrupt too and decided to be an archer. Thanks, Luz. And oh, there was another costume of a dragon with treasure, and it was long enough that people started twisting the tale and it became legend. But Lala was the treasure, and she fell in love with the dragon. And I think that's so cute. We don't know much about it yet, but yeah. But the reason that Evangeline could convince Jax to go to this engagement party was the great houses had the stones, and of course they wanted to be together. They were drawn like magnets. And she does find it. One in Glendora. It's either Gloria or Glendora, which I'm pretty sure it's Glendora. Vengeance's second wife. And she finds a stone in her tomb. Luce, of course, decides to be a brat and flirts with her. Even though she has told him no 3 other times before this, just in this book. Thanks, Luce. And at the masquerade, she's everywhere. She's confused And she doesn't like this one girl, Petra Youngblood, who she is kind of thinking that maybe has the U stone. So she right now she has the luck stone and the truth stone because that's what Glendora had. And at first she was thinking that it was the Myrstone just because she wasn't as loved by Vengeance as Aurora was, but there were still paintings of her, and it's speculated that he only has so many paintings of her because he felt guilty about it. And mm, that just hurts to just be like the second wife and have your husband not fully love you. And I think honestly, there's been a few books that I have read in the past that have played off this of the tragedy of being the unwanted second wife. And it's really interesting to see that. And everything kind of goes into a head when Evangeline and Jax get into an argument. And Petra grabs her and goes, "Come on, girl, I'll get you out of here." Because Evangeline found out that Jax had convinced Lala to put the curses on Apollo. And she's like, "Wow, thanks, Jax. I almost died like twice. Goodbye." And she's hurt and just needs space. But surprise, Petra is the other key who we thought were dead. And she does try to take the stone from Evangeline and try to kill her because she's been using the youth stone to stay alive and young and out of the public eye and under the radar. She faked her own death because she did not want to be used. And unfortunately, it did drive her insane. And she chose the serial killer route and was trying to kill Evangeline. Thankfully, Evangeline, clucked her before, and she whipped off her wig because Petra at first was wearing a pretty white wig to hide her rose gold hair. And so Jax basically pulled that. And then Evangeline is feeling something. Her back's starting to hurt. Apollo's being whipped, and the lacerations are appearing on Evangeline, and she's in pain. And Jax grabs her and goes to the one place where he's pretty sure that she will be safe. He goes to the Hollow, and the Hollow is somewhere unaffected by any curse. Jax's curse, gone. The story curse, gone. Her mirror curse, gone. And it's nice. There's a clock, but instead of numbers, there's food and drink items and desserts. It's great. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's warm, but not, it's still winter, but it's like one of those pictures, and it's just so perfect. And Evangeline, she's falling in love with Jax. She's known she's fallen in love with Jax. She just hasn't put a name to it, and now she has. And she has a dragon, and it's grand and great, and she loves him, and it's great. And she's cuddling with Jax one night because they have everything that they need in the Hollow, even though it's just her and Jax. And even when Jax leaves, it's fine, and it's just so perfect. And then she takes a look at the clock. She can feel it. The dragon feels it too. The Mirthstone is there. It's the pendulum. And she wants to stay there with Jax, but she's married. She had her wedding. She's married to Apollo, and she can't stay. And after they argue, Jax says something odd. You won't remember this. Huh? What does that mean? What does that mean, Jax? And then finally, everything clashes to a head. And Jax looks at Evangeline and goes, yeah, I want to fix my botched situationship. He wants to take the stones after Chaos opens the arch to get his mask off. And when all 4 stones come together, they can be used once and only once to reverse time to one moment. And Jax is seriously choosing to like re-meet Tella and be there for her and make the books useless. First you dye your hair and then you go back to try to fix the botched situationship. That's crazy. That's crazy. And Avengers like, okay, what about me? What will change? And he's like, oh yeah, it's fine. You'll probably like still end up with Apollo. The past doesn't really like being changed. So, like everything will be fine. Mind you, Jax, my guy, you are flirting, like flirting with Miss Evangeline over here. What do you think you're doing? Sir, politely. Sometimes you need therapy, Jax. You need therapy. Please. Please. So that happens, and they go back to Chaos because Chaos was basically keeping Apollo in check. And she's sleeping in her bed, and she wakes up to find Apollo, and he's like, surprise! And his eyes are no longer red, they're normal. And they start to kiss. And at this point, I'm still looking Apollo because he hasn't done too much other than love bombing in book 1, but that was more Jack's issue, so I was kind of letting it slide. And then his hands end up around her throat, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." Speaking of the Archer's Curse, Jax. Jax was the original Archer, his first love. He did fight the curse, and his kiss killed her. He thought he'd won, but no, he didn't. He just delayed the effects, and he was the Archer. He knew too much to not be the Archer in the Merrywood 3. Yes, he denied, and this handsome stranger and Lala were showing up in Evangeline's dreams, telling that, hey, Jax is weird and kind of a liar, and he only says selective truths. And Evangeline's like, yeah, give me a minute, I'll be over in 3. And she does open the arch, and Chaos, looking like a prince, takes her hair and cuts it a little bit because he needs it to break the spell. And he goes into the door, and Evangeline follows. And it doesn't look like a prison. There's really nothing here other than corridors, but she follows the sound of Chaos's steps, and she's taken aback. It's the Valors. They're here. They're not dead. They were just in a suspended state. And Chaos is crying with his mask off. And his mother smiles and welcomes her son, Castor Valor, home Chaos is Castor. And yes, Castor did die, but he was brought back. And being brought back from the dead changes you. He's a vampire, he lives off blood, and he was a monster. He was the monster that the Valerie was supposed to keep locked up, but he was out. He hasn't been a monster for centuries, but he hasn't fed in centuries. And Evangeline, like a plate of delicious steak, just walked in. And Chaos can't control himself. And before Evangeline really knows it, she realizes that the handsome stranger from her dreams is Chaos. It's Castor. And then she looked a vampire in the eyes, an open invitation to feed. And he does. And he bleeds her dry. And Evangeline passes from this world. Jax comes in. He's crying. He's holding her. He's trying to get anybody to do anything. They can't. They have to look at Castor and see that he changed. It wouldn't be him. Chaos changed so much from being Castor to Chaos, and he regretted feeding on her. Granted, he was hungry. He hadn't fed in centuries, and even when I don't eat for 5 hours, I'm starving after. I want food. I can't imagine not eating for centuries. And it's Jax. He knows what he must do. And he's warned that even if he changes this, that there will be consequences. There will be an equal price for this. And he looks and he says there's nothing more. There's nothing of equal value to her, to Evangeline, and he goes back to chapter 44, and even the chapter went back. I had to double check this. Chapter 4, there's 2 chapter 44s. And I think that's so genius because it literally pulls you back into the story. And Jax is there. Jax is there now. Instead of dressed as Prince, Chaos is dressed as a warrior. It changed little things. And he tells Evangeline to go away. First, he tries to bring a snack for Chaos. And of course, Chaos is like, what? No, go away. I'll be fine. And Jax is glaring like he knows different. And Evangeline is confused. If she thinks if she kisses him, she can break the curse and everything will be fine. And she's not understanding why he's acting different. And she opens the Valerie Arch and she's noticing that the stones look duller than when they used to. And she's wanting them to be used before Jax gets them, but she doesn't want to take away his choice. She wants him to be happy, even if she'll forget everything, but she still wants him to choose her. She still wants their happy ending. And everything goes fine. Apollo comes out and he's free from curse and he's getting awfully close. It almost makes Evangeline want Jax more, but no, she's married. She's married. She's married. And Apollo is petting her hair, running his hands. She feels a tug. She feels her memories leaving her. She's waiting for the memories to be gone anyway because Jax should have gone back in time, but no, he hasn't gone yet. Maybe he's changed his mind. Who's Jax? It's, where am I? My parents. I'm an orphan. Who are you? Apollo. Nice to meet you. Apollo! You magically roofied your wife to forget up to a year? And that is when I understood all of the hate on my timeline. I understood it. Because what do you mean? You magically roofied your wife? Apollo. That's not a good look for you. And we still have a third book, so I know this is gonna end well. It's just Apollo, dear, you stupid man. Why would you do that? But now on to book 3. And then the Shutter Me series, which I get so much hype about Aaron Warner, and I'm so excited. But anyways, lovelies, I'm gonna go eat some ice cream, go drink some water, and get a nice snack, and chill out because we are in for a wild ride for this one. All right, lovelies. Bye bye. Love ya.